Welcome back to the Stadium Journey podcast. While the cat is away, the mice will podcast. Stadium Journey is the worldwide leader in information and recommendations for the sports traveler. Check out the website at stadiumjourney.com. It's new, it's improved, it's pretty excellent. Thousands of reviews, thousands of venues. Well, we're getting there anyway. Once we get all that college baseball done, then there'll definitely be thousands. Multiple leagues, multiple countries, Stadium Journey's got it all. Join us for the Stadium Journey podcast. We record twice a month on Tuesdays. It can be viewed live on danlaw.tv or on the Stadium Journey YouTube channel. The audio version, which is perfect for the car or the AirPods or whatever you got, that can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else where you can find podcasts. The back catalog can be found at hiactalkradio.com. So you can find all of those previous podcasts that we had with our current guest. So the team is back today, but cool cat Paul Baker is out at UMass Dartmouth doing some conference basketball tournament PAing. He checked in at halftime. UMass Dartmouth was up like 36-11. It was pretty ugly. So go Corsairs. But you can follow him at PuckmanRI, especially if you're looking for the final score later on. Mark Viquez is with us, and you can find him at Ballpark Hunter. The producer and all-around happy guy, Dan Colachico, is here, and you can follow him at DanLaw83. And I am today's pinch hit host, Dave Cotney. You can follow me at ProFan9. So, recently, we needed to come up with a reason to invite this longtime friend back to the podcast. So we created a fictitious account that the Arena Football League is returning so we could bring back Tim Capper. Welcome back, Tim.
Hey, I'm glad to be back, guys. Found a way to get me on, whether it be the Arena Alouettes.
Hey, Tim,
Awesome.
Remember a couple of months ago when I asked if the AFL was coming back? We were both like, no.
So just to make everything clear, no, I didn't float that out. We at Stadium Journey didn't float that out. This is legitimate-ish, I guess.
There's a website with bios and everything.
There's a website. There's some Twitter activity out there. There's an amazing podcast interview by Tim Capper on arenafan.com, which I enjoyed. And you had on the
Commissioner
Lee A. Hutton. I had to look his name up there because I totally forgot it. And actually, great interview. Lots of good questions. So, Tim, what can you tell us? What do you know? Arena Football League.
I'll be honest with you. It's when that announcement, the official announcement, came out on February 1st. I think, like you, Dave, we were all just surprised. We're like, where the hell did this come from? And supposedly they had a soft launch in Vegas in September, and they had pictures on their website too. And I'm like, where was the hype?
Yeah,
maybe I get because it was a soft launch.
How come I wasn't invited?
Oh, that's the thing, man. I mean, if you saw the pictures, you'd understand why. I mean, it would look like it was fun, but I guess that people were schmoozing. They're bringing in potential owners and money managers and the like. So, but it looks like they're claiming it's going to be 16 teams with a 10-week regular season schedule, 2 weeks of the playoffs, and we did confirm on the podcast that yes, it will be the Arena Bowl championship played. So, and I think they're going to start right after the draft, the NFL draft, and go 10 weeks from there.
And how does that compare to where they left off?
As far as what? I mean,
how many games were they playing?
10 or 12 last, right?
Yeah, they didn't go to the maximum. They had 18 at one point. I think it was like 14. I think it was 14.
Okay, so a little bit smaller playing window there, and
yeah, but I think it's a smaller window. But if you think about it, it might be a plus that you might actually be able to pay these guys more. But I mean, it's something that we'll have to see. There's so little information out
Yeah.
there. I mean, the commissioner was, it was 12 games, by the way. The last season was 12 games.
Yeah,
Okay.
12.
Yeah.
10 games. That's like 1991 season, 10 games from what I remember.
Yeah, those are the early days, exactly.
Yeah, the early days when you had about
early.
8 teams. But I think 10 games is not bad. I do think 16 teams is sort of an ambitious project. I love the Arena Football League, but I'm sure just like you and everybody else that has a little bit of a history with the league, little skepticism, correct?
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Okay. Cautiously optimistic.
I've been using that the entire time.
Yeah, because you want this to go right. You don't want them to say, "Hey, 16 teams," and then they fold halfway into the season.
Yeah, we don't want an AF situation, right? Like
no.
No, and we don't want some of those fly-by-night ones that come up and say, "Hey, yeah, here, come and try out," and then they basically are leaving the players high and dry and stuff like that. And
that's too much.
That's what I was trying to get across with some of the questioning to the commissioners, because, as you guys know, the fan base for arena football is just absolutely bonkers. I mean, it's just the people that came out of the woodwork. And when Adam Schefter originally put out the tweet, for them to be able to use him as a mouthpiece, I mean, we were talking like 1.5-2 million unique views alone on his tweet. That's no fly by night stuff, especially to use him as your mouthpiece to make the announcement. So
yeah, I listened to your interview. It was amazing how you could talk to a guy for an hour, and I think after I finished listening, I was like, what did he say? What did I not know? I mean, a couple little details, and of course I was like, I did go in with my eyes open, going, he's not going to list off a roster of teams that are coming or owners that are locked in or anything like that.
He still surprised us though by dropping New Orleans.
Yeah, so that I found interesting when asked about historical arena football markets and whatnot. And I mean, I'm probably thinking of the same spots that you are, and he's dropping New Orleans, and I'm like, huh? I kind of had
look at the history though. Look at
the Scooby-Doo thing going on there, and it was not like, if I was to say, who do you really want? Which teams do you really want? I don't think I would have picked New Orleans. Maybe eventually it just would not have jumped out at me.
I guess just different analytics that they've been touting and stuff like that. I mean, I think of one of the few franchises before they had to be shut down the first time because of Katrina. They drew really, really well. They really did. It was done right. I mean, when they came back the second time, it really wasn't the same. But
when they were owned by Tom Benson and his group.
Well, Benson's group did an amazing job. That's why they put two of the original 4 neutral site games there, arena bowls there. So it's, and he dropped a little nugget there too, talking about when it came to workman's comp. And to me, I hear that. To me, that knocks off so many historical teams right there, because you think of, okay, no places where they're having problems with workman's comp, takes out California. So think of all the old school teams that were in California alone.
So can we backtrack that and maybe, like, can you explain what that whole deal is? Because I'm feeling in the dark on the workman's comp deal.
Okay, I'm not 100% on it, but I know that when it comes to certain states, workman's compensation, when you get hurt and insurance wise, it's through the roof in California.
Okay, and
these teams have to pay it. So I think that's one of the main reasons why that there are some issues when it comes to workman's comp. I think Florida, it's not as bad. New York State, it's not as bad, but there are still issues when it comes to workman's comp.
I mean, enough to prevent expansion into Tampa Bay coming back or trying to persuade Orlando to leave the National Arena League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not be surprised. we're going to see at least some vintage teams from Florida. I wouldn't be, and no, it's not going to be the Miami Hooters, or the Florida Bobcats. So
The Bobcats.
go ahead and subtract your teams there from the Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando. I mean, that
okay.
would be...
So let's go there. So who do you think is out there and still operating and maybe has a name that arena fans would recognize? Who do you think, and pure speculation, who do you think is going to leave whatever league they're in now and come back home?
I don't, pure speculation, and I don't see that. It can't be a coincidence. Where's the new league office? Phoenix.
Oh, Rattlers.
So that leads me to believe that it would be the Arizona Rattlers.
Okay.
But again, it could be just pure coincidence.
Yeah, and they're one of the teams that left the Arena Football League to join the IFL.
Right.
I believe this is their 31st consecutive season in operation. Mm-hmm. So definitely they're doing something right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's hard to, you want to break up the U.S. because we did confirm that right now, unless something changes, it's going to be all 16 teams in the United States, nothing in Canada, nothing in Mexico. You just got to, how would you divvy up the teams in each division, 8 in each division, where you have some old school names, some returning names, but I mean, it's, I'd love to see a team up here in Canada, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. But I mean, I think he mentioned Toronto also, and a specific Toronto Raptor. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head, but
Chris Humphreys.
Yeah.
Chris Kardashian.
Chris Kardashian.
So
he's got some money.
Yeah.
Later.
But this is another thing too, and while I'll pivot to that in a minute, is talking about the money and how Canada actually is involved with this new league. It just blows my mind. But let me put the question to you guys: who would you want to have back of any of the vintage teams?
The New England Steamrollers.
I'm like, yeah, okay. Why not? Hey,
right in Providence for
exactly
a certain Paul Baker to witness.
You put him in Boston too, if you wanted.
Yeah, Boston.
Still call them,
I'm gonna. I mean, I'd love to see the Phantoms come back, of course, because it's easy. But I'm gonna go with the War on I-4. That would be.
That was something.
I think that's really huge.
Mm-hmm.
If they could pull that off and bring back the Tampa Bay Storm and bring back the Orlando Predators. I don't know if either of those entities actually exist anymore.
The Predators do.
And even if you could take it like to that next step, because I think the Jacksonville Sharks were pretty successful, and I think they might still be kicking around.
Yeah, Orlando and Jacksonville are in the National Arena League, which has 7 teams right now. They've been operating for a while. I don't know how they're doing financially or attendance-wise. I don't know if it's like, I remember there was a time in Orlando when the Predators would sell out, and it was like the thing to do. I don't know what the atmosphere is like anymore for a Predators game. I mean, we're romanticizing about it, but how cool would it be to have Tampa Bay and Orlando back? The War on I-4. I'd be up for that as well.
Yeah.
And I'd be up for the Albany Firebirds coming back. The Albany Firebirds, not the Empire. We know the Empire owner said he has no interest in leaving the current league he's in. But
by the way, he says that you do know that it's the same ownership group.
Yeah.
As Orlando and another team, I think, right?
Oh, that's there is ownership. Yeah, Orlando. I can't think of the other name.
If I was to pick 4, I'd pick the 2 in Florida, the War on I-4. I would have said Arizona, and I would have said San Jose. Now,
Sabercats.
That might be because the commissioner said that there are some markets that you might expect, and maybe that's what you're alluding to, is that maybe the Sabercats are not all that plausible. But I thought I saw something about their longtime coach come up.
Darren Arbet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coaching for the IFL team in San Jose.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
The Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought his name was kind of linked to this somehow, some way.
It was originally.
Okay.
And I don't know how connected he really is, but Arbet was a part of the whole bankruptcy team that bought the league out of bankruptcy, and I guess certain things have changed hands and stuff like that, because originally when they launched their website, the league launched a new website, the AFL.com. There were some videos there, and Darren was part of them.
Okay.
So Coach Arbet had, I had spoken with Coach Arbet too. Him and I had conversed back and forth about certain things, but yeah, I don't know where he's involved. I don't know how, because remember, the Fry family was involved in it also. Those are the owners. Yeah, those are the owners for the SaberCats. But there's a lot of speculation, anyways, because if you follow, it's like trying to follow the money. And this is interesting. And the commissioner mentioned this, and I actually knew this. I thought this was pretty. It psyched me out. Is that one of the money groups is actually based out of Toronto, and that's Force One Marketing, something like that.
F1 Marketing, isn't it?
Well, I think it's like Force One something. Anyways,
we don't know.
Yeah. I should know. I should know, but I know they're based out of Toronto. That I do know.
Oh, okay.
That's what had me thinking maybe we were going to get a team. But Force One Capital. Thank you. There we go. Force One Capital.
Oh, okay. So
but there was also another silent partner. There's another money man, and we don't know who he is. Him, the group, him, he, she, whoever. We don't know who it is. Yeah. So there seems to be money.
Well, that's what you need.
Please tell us it's not Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
I seriously doubt that.
Well, I was going to ask,
Vince Neil.
If we're not getting the LA kiss, what's the point?
Yeah, great documentary. I love watching that, but I don't think that's going to happen. I still see their carpet. It's kind of funny. Some of these old Arena Football League, their carpets are like repurposed.
Yep.
Sometimes you can make out the outline, and I don't know where their carpet is, but you can make out the outline because the center logo was in shape of a guitar pick.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has it. I don't know who has it, but I was watching it.
Should we take anything away from the website pictures, which show the Washington Valor, the Baltimore Brigade, the Philadelphia Soul?
Most current pictures.
Yeah, I don't. In my opinion, I don't think so. I think that's they own the rights to these photos and to these teams. So,
but why these pictures?
Dan,
there's no Albany picture.
Dave, I know for a fact that the former owner of the Philly Soul didn't even, or one of the owners, majority, had no idea this was even happening. So I know they're not involved.
Yet,
yes. As of last week, when I asked this person,
he's got connections.
Yeah.
Didn't even know I had a connection. If anybody remembers who was in the ownership group, then
are you holding out on us, Dan?
It's not the one you think. It's the other guy that had less money.
You're buddies with Bon Jovi and
Jaws? No, I don't even. No.
I think Dan, you mentioned it to me at one point, so I think I know you're talking about.
His name ends with a vowel. What can I say?
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Tony Vivano.
Kind of.
Get
three syllables and a vowel. You know,
get some gabagool. I'll tell you a story later.
Woke up this morning, got some.
Yeah, but like what teams would you want? Like when this first came out, I heard the Cleveland Gladiators. Love to see them back. Then would you want to see a team in Pittsburgh? I live in Indianapolis. We're building I'm not building. They're building a new arena down the street, right on the suburbs, 8,000 seater. Put a team in Indianapolis, even though it wasn't highly successful the last time I was here.
No.
So, what markets do you go to? Do you go to your major markets? Do you go to your medium? Because I just don't want to see anybody playing out of like a 3,000 seat venue or a venue where it's past its prime and the scoreboard doesn't work. AFL always did a great job of presentation. When you went to a game, you had a clean carpet, you had a professional game day experience. That can't be said for some of these other leagues and some of the venues they played in. I don't know what markets, I'm kind of guessing major big time markets or a little bit of a mix.
I would go, and I'd always said this before when trying to think of, and still staying major league, but being fan friendly, not necessarily being a bus league, but being fan friendly. And I'll give an example. Let's say, let's use Albany, Philly, and I'll just throw Montreal in there, and New York and Long Island. Those 4 cities alone right there, you can travel within with no problems.
Yeah, that's a great plan.
That's what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to do Midwest, you can bring in Milwaukee, you can bring in Chicago, you can bring in Iowa, and you can bring in Detroit. Detroit as an example. Right there, those are some long cities that have long histories in arena football.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what they're going to go for? You have modern. I think most of them have modern arenas.
Yeah, Des Moines.
And again, I think that's what you need to do. You're bringing back a mix of old and new, so to speak. I wouldn't be surprised if you have, and this is just a guess, I wouldn't be surprised if there are 4 new cities that we've never seen before. Because do you really want to, they're having all this stuff in Vegas, by the way. Do you really want to have a team in Vegas again for the 4th time?
There's been quite a bit of Vegas teams.
In the AFL? No.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's going to be lost. There's so much going on.
So much going on there now.
It's not like any team in Vegas blew us out of the water as being overly successful.
Yeah, and the one in the IFL Henderson one arena only holds what, 10?
That's big enough, right? Or that's another thing. Do you want 10? Because wasn't there a rule it had to be at one time had to be 10,000 seats or more? Was that part of the AFL at one time? They're thinking.
Well, that was kind of how you delineated like which teams were good and which teams weren't. Is the ones that brought in like 10,000. I remember like when the Phantoms were around, they were in the bottom echelon of attendance because they were drawing like 6 or 7, whereas Tampa and Orlando and Arizona and San Jose, they were all drawing well over 10.
Yeah.
You can't have a 3rd or 4th tier team. A Toronto team would not play at the Air Canada. I'm calling it the Air Canada Center. It's not the Air Canada Center.
Bank.
They would play over at it's not Rico anymore either. Coca-Cola Center.
Coca-Cola Center.
Yeah,
maybe. They couldn't even play there. It's not like the ceiling's not high enough.
Oh.
What about? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What about all those other junior hockey arenas? Or they're too small?
Well, they all popped. All these new ones have popped up. I mean, what's the new one that just popped up? Well, I thought it was new. The one in Gatineau, Quebec.
Oh, and the Centre Slush Puppies.
Yeah, the Slush Puppies. Yeah,
the Slush Puppies. There you go. There's your name, the Slush Puppies.
Yeah.
I guarantee it'll be selling hot merchandise. So, yeah. So you think 4 new cities. So I know Seattle's never had an Arena Football League team.
There you go.
And they have a brand new venue, which I think is ideal.
Yeah.
Perhaps to jump in finally.
Bring back Spokane, because Spokane was a monster.
Yeah, Spokane,
even though they only held like 11,000 at the
they were
at the arena, but still, Portland, But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's 4 new teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a really important piece to this, and that's the timing. So if they're going to start after the draft, you're looking at June, right? When's the NFL draft?
May.
Late May.
I think it's May. Yeah.
You're looking at June, July, August. And I think this was one of the things that made the Arena League successful to begin with, is you're attacking your arenas at a point where they're dark. And all of these cities, teams, or whatever, they're not going to charge premium rent for these dark times because they're not going to get anything else. Maybe maybe someplace like a Toronto is going to have like concert after concert after concert in the summer. But, once the playoffs for hockey and basketball are done, then there's nothing. There's no events going on. And I think that's one of the things that really built the success of the league is that they had access to these arenas when nothing else was going on.
Yeah. No, you're right. Especially in the early 90s when minor league baseball was not where it is today. Fans were able to come in, see a game for about 2.5 hours in air condition and get behind this sort of kind of cool 90s type of football. So, yeah, you're competing against, minor league baseball now in some cities. I don't know what that dynamic would look like. But there's a lot of people who don't like baseball and would rather spend their time watching some football.
And I mean, me personally, I felt the death of the league started when they moved.
Yes.
With the NBC deal.
February,
and
which suddenly, I don't blame them.
Well, I mean, suddenly they were competing. They were competing. Yeah. Not only are you competing on television, but you're competing for arena times, right? Yes. Like, I think that was probably the final nail for the Phantoms is that, well, now they're going to compete with the Raptors for time and the Leafs for time and the lacrosse team or and whatever concerts you're going to have. Yeah. And it's not Good just luck. I mean, we got to remember it's not just, you just slide in. Like there's a whole turnover that has to happen for all of these events. You got to get your staff to turn the facility over. Change it from basketball to lacrosse or from hockey to football or whatever. And I thought that was kind of the beginning of the end. So, but that was my opinion.
Do you agree with that, Tim?
Well, for the Phantoms, there's more. There's more to the Phantoms.
Well, no, I mean, but in general.
Oh, in general, yeah, you can't be third or fourth tier. There's no way. You can't. But NBC helped the league more than I think people think. I think because it was NBC. I think it was because the years of Bon Jovi and stuff like that. I think that helped them be able to get those extra times. Toronto was never on. As far as I remember, they were never on NBC. The only time that they were on was TNN.
Because their last year was the year before that move.
Yeah. So they were on TNN, and that was during the playoffs. They never had a regular season game at home. Yeah.
No, I think that was one of the discussion points when, well, do we keep going for one more year or whatever? And like, well,
You can't do it on Thursdays. I'm sorry. CFL, okay. But you can't with Arena, you can't do it on Thursday nights.
Yep.
And this is somebody who traveled from Montreal to see them play. I'd missed most of the second season because Thursday nights.
Yeah.
So, but I think another one of the things I think that was interesting, which can play into it a little bit, is that the commission also brought up for Arena Bowl, they're thinking of going back to neutral site games. I'm on the fence about this one. I don't know what you guys think about neutral site games in general. I mean, Super Bowl aside, the IFL's did it for the first time this year and gave it the most horrible championship names I've ever seen in my life. But what do you guys think about neutral sites? I mean, the league had 6 initially, 2 in Vegas, 2 in New Orleans, 1 back in New Orleans. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I like neutral site for planning, but I mean, is the arena football that big to do something like that? Because let's say, let's just say the Tampa Bay Storm are going to host. I mean, I'd rather have the home base there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're playing Orlando or, any city that's drawing well. I don't know. I don't think the Arena Football League is there yet to do neutral sites. And I don't know if they were quite there back in the day to do that. I know they were trying to, I remember they had like Dallas in the Eastern Division, which was kind of weird. They were trying to be like the NFL. But no, I'm for the team with the best record at the end of the playoffs to be the host.
Yeah.
I went to Arena Bowl once. It was sold out. It was in Cleveland.
Was that new? Yeah. Okay. That wasn't.
It wasn't a neutral site. It was Cleveland, Arizona, and it was sold out.
Funny.
And it was great.
Have we talked about this before? Because I was there. I didn't even know you were there.
No.
I don't know. It was a blowout.
Yeah, it was.
Cleveland.
Yes, it was.
But
The
hey, we had a
former
good
New
time.
Jersey Gladiators.
We had a good time. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Mark. I'm kind of leaning the other way. I mean, I've watched things like in Canadian university sports. I've watched how the neutral site has deteriorated things, right? So, look at the Vanier Cup, which has really kind of fallen off to the point where, like this past year, instead of playing at Tim Hortons Field or at Rogers Center, they played in London at Western, and if the wrong team makes it, or like the home team doesn't make it, suddenly there's like thousands and thousands of tickets on the market. And whether or not it's sold out is one thing. What does that atmosphere look like on television if a third of the people who bought tickets aren't showing up?
Sounds like New Orleans. The third time they went to New Orleans for the Arena Bowl, it was horrible. Don't believe the attendance you see listed.
Okay.
In any way, shape, or form.
Wait, we got to be on our best behavior. The King Cat is back. Did you guys win?
Don't change anything because of me. Yeah, the game just ended. We ended up winning our quarterfinal match by 22, so it was actually our closest game against this team all season. So,
wow.
So we move on to the
Terrible.
semifinals against Rhode Island College on Thursday.
Are you going?
Actually, no, because I've got credentialed to go visit the brand new UConn hockey arena on Thursday night. So that's where I'll be.
All right. Go UConn.
But yeah,
hockey.
We're in the basement. We're in the bowels of the Trip Athletic Center in Dartmouth, Massachusetts.
Okay. Well, Mark's already put in for you to get your New England Steamwheelers back for arena football. Mark's put in to get the New England Steamrollers. Was it Steamrollers or Steamwheelers?
Steamwheelers is Quad City.
Steamrollers?
Absolutely, one of the classic nicknames of all time, the Steamrollers. Absolutely. I second that motion, Mark.
That's okay. Mark's talking at us without having his mic on or whatever, and we're not hearing anything he's saying. Yeah, we're still not hearing him.
All right. No, I was the funny thing.
There he is.
Watching on YouTube a 1988 game of the LA Cobras and the New England Steamrollers from the Providence Civic Center, and they had these really nice orange uniforms, and LA had these nice yellow and blue. And it's like, yeah, that'd be fun to have New England, a Providence team back. So yeah,
they only lasted 1 year though, I think.
Yeah, just 1988 when the league was. I mean, I was so curious about that league back then, and then it just kind of blew up and went a different direction. But part of me, still misses it. I miss the rebound nets. I think that's such an excellent feature for the league. Obviously, other indoor football leagues could use that. Is that correct? They just don't.
The NAL has decided to use them this year.
Oh, so they're going to have them. Nice. All right.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're going to watch?
To me, it's still not I know what I've always said, that if you don't have the rebound nets, you're not arena football. Yeah. If you're not called the Arena Football League, you're not arena football.
I see. He's changing the post there. He's changing.
Stubborn. I get it. Yeah, because like those goofy field goal posts that they have in the IFL, they just look so cheap, and just really, it's like, come on, get rid of these shrinky dink goalposts. Those rebound nets were awesome. They added such a unique take on the game.
I agree.
Same with Iron Man football too. So we'll touch on that later.
So Tim, we got the NFL, we got the CFL, we got the XFL.
Oh yeah,
we got the USFL.
Yeah,
we got all of these other arena leagues that I don't really count, and now we're gonna have the Arena Football League. Where are all these players coming from?
I think it's funny. The commissioner said in our interview that the football market is not saturated. I was like, I listened to his answer, but I still kind of disagreed because I think there can be, yes, there can be too much football. The question is, if the Arena Football League comes back, how many of these other indoor leagues are going to go away?
Yeah.
And I don't know that this is what's happening, that they're going to take over the NAL. They're going to take over the IFL. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're taking in a lot of these old school, if you're bringing back a lot of these old school teams, the Rattlers are a franchise, are one of the main franchises of the IFL. So how many of the spring leagues are gonna last? Can the USFL continue to do hub football? I don't know.
Well, Dan offered his backyard for the Philadelphia Stars, and they just won't come and play it. And
Yeah, they haven't
where are they
answered
playing
me.
in Michigan this year?
They haven't answered
Right.
me, and they're keeping the blood clot around or whatever the heck that thing is. You can fit as many people as in my backyard that goes to their games. And to piggyback off of the mutual site thing, that's why I don't care about the USFL. I don't care if you're not playing in Philly. I have no vested interest in those games.
Yeah, a little bit of a letdown. So let's hope the Arena Football League, has teams in in 16 separate cities, which
Franklin Field's right there.
I think it'll be 16 different cities. There's no way. I remember when the league was having some problems back in 18 or 19, and they were looking at potentially having a traveling league like they did back in 89.
Oh yeah.
I was for the idea. I think maybe just for nostalgia's sake to keep the league alive, but I don't think you can't. Does it matter that the Pittsburgh Maulers changed their colors to be the Pittsburgh Steelers and every other team in Pittsburgh? I don't care. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I like those purple and orange colors. I wouldn't have changed it. Change it when you play in Pittsburgh.
If the Rattlers do come, let's say, where do they have to put franchises to make that work? I mean, one of the things originally that forced the Rattlers to leave is that the travel was arduous, right? Like they were on an island almost. They were by themselves.
That was Tampa. That was Tampa.
But who could
18 or 17? That was Tampa Bay.
Where are they going to put put teams to make the travel work down there? Especially if they're not going to California.
I think it's going to be what I was suggesting before. I think if the new league ownership group puts their structure where you have teams that are relatively close, if you can find 4 teams that I said, that's why you could easily have some new teams there if they do put them in the Southwest.
Oh, I got it.
Easily.
I got it. So you got the Arizona Rattlers, you got the Glendale Cobras, you got the Tempe Boa Constrictors and the Scottsdale Garter Snakes.
You get the Tucson.
You got a whole division right there.
They have enough arenas around Phoenix that they're not using right now, so why not?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, if you look at the IFL, they have a team in Albuquerque. I believe there's a team in Tucson. I want to say Northern Arizona has a team.
Yep.
So there are teams there, but could you persuade them to jump?
And 2 of them are owned by Coach Guy and his wife.
Okay. So you have teams out there. Salt Lake is another option. You're looking at like Albuquerque, would be fun. I don't think they've ever had a team out there. No, not that I recall. So yeah. And you're right. There's new arenas that have been built since, the early days. So it could be prime. I'd like to see it succeed. I'd like, definitely want to have Arizona have teams nearby. I don't want them being in a division with like Iowa, Minnesota, and like Sioux City. So
the Minnesota Fighting Pike.
I mean, they could be
Do
in the
it.
league. I just don't want them to be division rivals with Arizona, the Fighting Pike, which that wasn't too successful. I think they just lasted 1 year.
But
Yeah.
still, like, is there a cooler name?
That is a cool name, Fighting Pike.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the cities, because you want to make sure that you have enough rivalries to make fans want to go to the games. If you think about that alone, how does the league, with the two conferences, only 10 games, if it is do you do home and home in each division? There's 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 4 are within your division, within your conference, or do you do 2 and 2 with the other conference?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, especially playoffs. How many teams make the playoffs? Do you have 8 teams? 9?
Playoffs?
No, if it's
Playoffs?
if it's only 2 weeks, I think it does the math for you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I just want fans to go to these games and be excited and pay attention to the football on the field and the post the pregame activities.
Mhm.
Just get that nice word of mouth. To create that buzz.
Well, if you think about it now, with them potentially announcing New Orleans already, think of that division. That could easily be now. If you think of New Orleans, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville. There's your South.
Sold.
Yeah.
Sold.
Or New Orleans, Houston, Dallas.
Yeah. Houston won't. Not with how the Thunder Bears went and the Terror.
The Thunder Bears.
So.
Yeah, no, or San Antonio Talons and the Force. Yeah, there's been so many.
Georgia too. Yeah, Georgia do well too. But I mean, you want to.
Well, if they put a team in the Atlanta market, call it Atlanta. I never liked Georgia as a name.
Yeah, I honestly don't think. Honestly, if they're looking at the different variables and attendance and how well teams did and whether Arthur Blank owned the original Force or not, you want to go with cities that have done really, really well. And I think those 4.
Like, would Grand Rapids come back?
That would be great. That'd be a great market too.
Rampage. That was a classic team.
Yeah, but them, Grand Rapids, Detroit
Drive, would love to see that name resurrected.
Chicago.
Yeah, they had a.
Do we think that medium-sized cities might do better than the big cities?
I don't know what they're looking at because, and I don't think because I know you guys you had just brought up, Mark, about the sizes of arenas and stuff like that. I had cut off for a couple of seconds, so I didn't hear that part, but. I don't know if they're going to go with a set amount. That's one thing maybe I should ask the commissioner, because he's talking about, he wants to have an arena for the neutral site arena bowl that holds the most fans. And I'm thinking, you can't base your stats off of 08 and 09, on 07 and 08. New Orleans drew really well. Vegas, And after that, you got to be careful with how many you want to. You can't. He was talking about having a 20,000 seat arena. I disagree with that. I think it should be maximum 18, anywhere between 15 and 18 for an arena bowl, to make it, financially feasible, to make some money.
Dan, can you fit that many in your yard?
Yeah. Nothing else out here.
He could bring his buddies Bon Jovi and Jaws to come and.
It's not Bon Jovi and Jaws.
Dan, you can just shrink them all with those PIM particles, and then we can fit as many people as you want in your backyard.
Just Ant-Man and Wasp in the what's the word? Quantum realm. That's it.
Yes. The Quantum Bowl.
Yeah, the Quantum Bowl. The Quantum Arena. The Arena Quantum Bowl. There you go.
So it's again, and I mean, Paul, I didn't know if you were able to hear the interview or not. I don't know what you thought of it. I mean, I think it's just a matter of coming to fruition. We need to have some more announcements. We need to have some cities actually stated. We need, let's get some news out there.
Oh, I got it. Atlantic City.
Yes, agreed.
Bring that team back, whatever they were called. Blackjacks?
The Blackjacks.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to have a review. We had I think that was the last review.
They reviewed and then
they fell. Stephen Key made the trip down there after.
The arena's so nice. I went there twice that year for their opener and for another game. I love the arena.
And I think that was many years ago, they used to host some kind of indoor football college game, the Boardwalk Bowl. So they have a little bit of a history with football there. But yeah, Atlantic City, I didn't think that was going to be successful, but it wasn't bad.
If you believe what they said in the offseason that they had an increase of season tickets, then yeah. And the stadium was, the arena wasn't the best. The press row was kind of wonky.
I can see that.
If you can call it press row.
Everything in Atlantic City's wonky.
Yeah, but there's so much nostalgia. Just like, post game being able to walk around in the arena and just, it's just so much fun. So much fun in that.
The only event I was ever at in Atlantic City at Boardwalk Hall that was close to or was a sellout was wrestling, WWE. I've been to Boardwalk Bullies games. I've been to AHL games there. It's just so bad. And I was kind of excited. I'm like, I'll go up for a Blackjacks game. And then, oops.
So there's one thing that we haven't talked about, and maybe it's the biggest piece of the puzzle. And that's the broadcast part. And I don't recall the commissioner saying anything about broadcast partners, about what his view is. I know, like the previous iteration, they had this big plan, which maybe was ahead of its time with the streaming. But what do you think? What do you think about broadcast rights and all that?
The commissioner did mention that there is a plan in place. I think they said they've not come to an agreement, and we didn't expound on that because I think we knew at that point there's certain things that we're either going to get a lawyer answer, because if those of you who don't know, the commissioner of the AFL is a lawyer. That would be what, 3 in a row now. I think Randall Bowe was one, and so was Jerry Kurz was never the commissioner, but it depends on what they want to do. You would think that they would take advantage of it. Go YouTube. These aren't here's a real big throwback. I don't know how many of you will catch this. This isn't the days of Nifty TV.
Nifty TV. Oh boy.
Nope, that's a TV. Big. Oh, you got it. You know, Dan. Please tell me you get the reference.
Only in retro. I know of it now.
Yeah. Basically, it was the first streaming partner of the AFL. Wasn't on YouTube, and they broadcast. You had a little slider where you could choose whatever game you wanted. It was late night. It was the late night Arena Football Club. Everybody staying up to watch the games out of Hawaii, the AF2 games out of Hawaii. The pictures were horrible, but it was consistent. But these days of YouTube now, where else can they go? You're going to go to stadium? That lasted a year for the IFL.
I was going to throw this out here, and the only Nifty TV, geez. Wasn't that AFL 2 or something?
But it was. But I think it was just the AF2. But I know there was something.
AF2, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was something that happened prior to that for the AFL. It was during the days of the game of TNN and OLN and stuff like that. So
yeah, see, guys, I know some things. Okay, I was just going to throw this out here, and I'm only piggybacking off the fact that the Premier Hockey Federation gets pretty good. That's what I'm told. Pretty good numbers from ESPN Plus. Maybe if they get enough hype behind it, that maybe ESPN Plus might be like, maybe we should take a look at this, because right now they have the NLL, they got the PHF, they got the NHL, they got other hockey's popping up there. Maybe ESPN will look to get back in the off-season football, and since they can't have the USFL or the XFL because they have deals, maybe they try to sweeten the pot for the AFL. I'm kind of hoping. Again, this is all hypothetical if Philly's even involved, because if Philly's not involved, I'm going to be like, well, yeah, that falls not for me.
I think one thing to watch for is this developing story of this company that holds Major League Baseball rights that is going bankrupt. And I mean, what they're talking about is that cord cutting is really cutting into these regional deals for Major League Baseball. And the problem
You're talking Valley, right?
I think so.
Valley's
Valley
one
Sports.
of them, yeah.
Valley
Sports.
Valley. I think
1 year, and they're
because that used to be Fox. That was the Fox networks, right?
That was Fox Network, yep.
And then Disney bought Fox, right? So I think they had to sell off all the affiliates, and I think the Valley came out of that. But
it's not good.
One of the interesting pieces this year is going to be, how does Major League Soccer evolve?
That's who else? ESPN Plus. Sorry, Dave.
With see, that's all going to change now because Major League Soccer is all going on Apple TV.
Yep.
There will be one game, like a game a week, kind of, that's free. But I mean, to me, it's going to foster like soccer fans already, but it's not going to keep that casual fan who's used to flicking around, or the Jays aren't playing on Sportsnet tonight, but Toronto FC is, so maybe I'll watch that instead. The soccer fan might go out and get Apple TV, but is the casual fan going to go out and get Apple TV just to watch a few soccer games a year? And I think that might have been part of the issue previous with the Arena Football League is it's one thing to try and get people who are already interested. It's another to try and grow your sport based on like casual viewership. And how can you bring it? Like, that's how I found out about Arena Football, casual viewership. We happened to be there. Oh, it's Arena Bowl. It's on ABC. Okay, wow, we'll watch it. There's nothing else to do. Like that's the part that worries me. And not just for Arena Football, but for spectator sports kind of across the board. Everybody's thinking.
All right. Yeah, no, I had nothing on that one.
Well, no, but no, it's, I mean, it's, there's just, the league the Arena League wanted to do this type of stuff. There were talks of them broadcasting on DraftKings TV. Is that what it is? DraftKings TV? Or something to that effect? So that's why they created their own network. If anybody knows it wasn't, the last Arena Bowl, it wasn't the ESPN graphics, it was their own. So it's, you have to make it watchable. I still think one of the coolest things that the Arena League ever did was signing that contract with Twitter and having 5 games on Twitter. That was so cool. And it was worldwide. It wasn't geocached. It wasn't depending on where you were located. You could watch it wherever you wanted. That was cool. When they did it on Facebook Live, that was cool too. But it's always going to be a part of the conversation. So when they say they have something lined up, I'm really curious to know what it's going to be. This isn't. Is this going to be a fly-by-night thing or our startup thing? Mark Cuban and his was it HDNet? Was that what it was called when he first started?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So will they all be web-based? I don't think so. You need to have an actual national contract. But again, Nobody's going to pay. Nobody's going to pay rights for the AFL to start. You know, like the CFL has hard enough time. I mean, I'm curious on what's going to happen with that, with TSN.
They could take the, again, not to piggyback off of the NWHL PHF, but then there's other spectator sports wrestling that are doing this, but go the Twitch route.
And but I think you also have to balance it when, like, with the commissioner who's saying, you know, if you're a player, you're going to play for the Arena Football League, you're going to make more money than you. Well, he didn't say this specifically, but he pretty much said it. You're going to make more money than if you're playing for any of these other independent indoor football leagues, right? And do they generate enough revenue on Twitch or whatever? I mean, I don't know what players in the PHF make. I know they pay their PA announcers way too much, but you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
They pay him. It's just weird. It would all be based on community, because PHF built on this subscription service that is outside like a streaming thing where you can pay someone a different tier of amount of money a month for different unlocks and different things, and that goes right to, well, Twitch takes a certain percentage, but they were making so much that they were getting a hell of a ton of money, which only increased when they went to ESPN, but they still keep the international markets on Twitch. So they're still making money from that.
Is that like FCF?
What?
The FCF, fan control of football, does the exact same thing.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
They're on Twitch.
Kind of, and you also have the, and I've been in the rooms when they first started broadcasting on Twitch. A lot of interaction and a lot of people, and it was very, very low toxicity, I will say, in those rooms. People just fans of the game wanting to help spread that word and get the more eyes on it. I would assume that the AFL has a better name to start. If this is a hypothetical, I have no idea if this is even, manageable. Has a higher, what's the word I'm looking for? More name recognition. They have more name recognition to start that way. If that way more than the NWHL PHF did. I mean, sure, it's grown since then, but I could see it working that way if they had no other. But I'm assuming if they said they have something lined up, that it isn't going to be Twitch.
Well, I think I have the answer here. It's actually really simple. The answer is that we're going to have to stay tuned to arenafan.com to figure all of this out.
But, good segue. Good point.
You like that? Oh, it's almost
plug.
like I've been doing this for a bit. But
when you figure it out, you let me know, huh?
Okay. But we are coming up against the clock, so I do want to say, thanks, Tim, for coming on. I look at it this way: once there's more news, that just means we have to bring you back again.
Oh yeah.
I think yeah. Tim's pushing for the record most Stadium Journey podcast appearances. He's neck and neck with Andrew Bowes.
Yeah. Well, you could talk about the Alouettes at Arena Football, so he's got a little bit of unfair advantage.
Yeah, that's true.
More the merrier. Yeah. I got to tell you, I got my start writing for arenafan.net back in 2001, and I don't know if I never went over, found that site and wrote for the New Jersey Gladiators. Don't know if I'd be here. So we always have room for Arena Football. And hopefully, next time you come back, we'll have 16 teams to talk about, complete with logos, uniforms.
Something. It's just mind-boggling, and I know we didn't talk about it this time, but I'm sure once hopefully some more information will come out about salaries and contracts. It's one thing I was hoping that we could talk about. I know we didn't get enough time to do so, but that'll be an interesting topic in itself.
So, Tim, thanks for coming on. Pimp out your social media, your sites. I mean, it's not like you don't have anything going on. You got only 1,000 things going on. So where can the good people find you? In
Yeah,
your various enterprises.
You can find me on Twitter. That's at Repact. That's REPPACT. And all the new stuff, hopefully, that we're going to get. Check out arenafan.com. As I say, we just launched the new our first podcast in almost 4 years. But check out on any of the socials, including YouTube. If you want to listen to the hour-long conversation with the new commissioner from the CFL, wrong league, from the AFL. And if you like a Canadian ball, just check us out. The other podcast at Alouettes Flight Deck. It's Alouettes FL Deck. Basically the same thing on all our socials, but head over to alouettesflightdeck.ca for all links to all of our socials, shop, and all of our archive that we have for all of our shows. Coming up, we're currently in our 8th season of broadcasting, and we're really looking forward to what's coming up.
Nice. Happy Guy Dan, what do you got going, and where can we follow all those happy adventures?
Not a damn thing. Dan Law 83.
Mr. PAPB, what do you got coming up, and where can we follow that?
Wow, it's weird being on this side of it, man. Oh, coming up, let's see. We're finishing up the hockey season at Brown with senior day this week. Actually, Thursday, just found out I'm going to check out the new Toscano Family Arena on the campus of the University of Connecticut. Their brand new state-of-the-art 2,600 seat venue. So that's very exciting. Where else am I going? We got the Boston Pride finishing up their season in a couple of weeks, and then it's on to the playoffs. They just announced that for the first round of the playoffs, the semifinals will be best out of 3 series. One hosted in Toronto, I'm not sure exactly where, and one hosted in Boston. They're going to be the top 2 seeds. The Boston series is going to be held at the brand new Bentley Arena, so that's exciting too. So lots of stuff going on. I'm all over the place. Follow my adventures at Puckman RI.
All right. And college basketball hunter, Mark Viquez. What do you got coming up, and where can people follow you?
I have the IUPUI Jags. I'm either going to probably do this Saturday versus Youngstown State.
Are you allowed to call them IUPUI instead of Ooey Pooey?
Ooey Pooey, the Jags. I play at the fairgrounds, which, they don't attract as much as the Indy Fuel hockey team. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of college basketball, Xavier, Cincinnati, Indiana State, Butler. It's been a lot of fun. It's kind of fun mixing it up. So you can follow all my adventures on Ballpark Hunter on Twitter, or check out my videos and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Ballpark Hunter as well.
Okay, and as for me, we got some Laurier Golden Hawks basketball coming up, playoffs, and then my annual review of the Toronto Maple Leafs coming up, and then the official review of the Kitchener Rangers also coming up. So you can follow all of that at ProFan9, and of course, make sure you hit the new and improved Stadium Journey website, stadiumjourney.com. Check out there's literally, I get email notifications. There's literally like 6 or 7 college baseball reviews that are hitting every day. Like my phone's blowing up left, right, and center. So there's lots of old stuff getting moved over and looking spiffy new. So make sure you see that. Check out the podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And I'm going to say that we're going to do some reviews because there's been a lot going on that we haven't really talked about. I know for me, I mean, I've been to Texas since then, so it's time to put the journey back in Stadium Journey once again. So thanks, Tim, for joining us. For Tim, Paul, Dave, Mark, Dan, anyone else who's listening, thanks for coming out, and hope you have some safe journeys. We'll see you on the road real soon.